Self-defense now to another shooting getting great national attention. This case involving a retired police captain accused of killing a man inside a movie theater during an argument over texting. Grainy surveillance footage of the altercation shown in court for the very first time this week. The defendant's wife claiming her husband was in fear for his life and trying to protect himself, and that's what he says as well. The attorney for the victim's wife saying otherwise.
She was in law enforcement 20 years and he never shot anybody.
Right. I'm so sorry.
He's never threatened anybody with a gun or nothing. I don't know. If the guy hit him, and I trust my husband, if he hit him, then he just, I don't know if he thought he was going to hurt him.
He can allege all the facts that he wants as far as what was thrown, but there was no reason for this guy to feel that he was in fear for his life in order to have to pull out a gun and shoot someone.
Mercedes Cohen is a Fox News legal analyst. Kirsten Wilson joins us, a trial attorney. Good to see you both.
Great to see you, Greg.
All right, all the testimony in the world may not make a difference at all if you can actually isolate and enhance the videotape, Mercedes. And, you know, at first blush, you look at it, it does not appear as though the victim is menacing.
Exactly. I mean, if anything, there's popcorn flying. That is it. What justification, if any, and of course the jury's going to obviously say, what justification could there have been? Popcorn thrown in your face, you're going to turn around and shoot the person dead?
And there's the
Can't imagine.
See, right-hand side lower, but they're going to be able to enhance this thing. And they're going to freeze frame it the same way in the cop trial in Simi Valley, California, in the Rodney King beating case. The videotape was the key piece of evidence in this case.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think once you watch this video, but also not just the video, all the witness testimony and even the two wives that were there here at the bail hearing, Mr. Reeves' wife said, well, I didn't see the victim in the case hit my husband, but he said he did.
Yeah. Well, she said something else, too, and she just buries her husband. She says, this is Reeves' wife, quote, there was no cause to shoot anyone. At that point in time, Reeves allegedly says, you shut your effing mouth and don't say another word. My goodness, Mercedes, that's what the law calls consciousness of guilt.
Exactly right. I mean, that's going to be so problematic. And that's what happens. And we're all trial lawyers here. When you have witnesses on the stand, they sometimes just eviscerate themselves because of their testimony. You can't get around the nerves. She's obviously very tense. She probably has never testified in her life, but she buried her husband at that point.
Now, let's play a soundbite, very short, 7 seconds long, a police officer who basically recounts what the accused said immediately after the shooting. Here it is.
He said, I can't, and he pushed his glasses back. He said, I can't believe what I've done.
All right, now that's hearsay, but it comes under an exception, statement against interest, and how incriminating is that?
It's so incriminating. I was just listening to Mercedes talking about his wife's statements, and it comes out of his own mouth that essentially he couldn't believe what he did, and it wasn't justified. Yet then he has defense counsel standing up saying this was self-defense. The jury's going to see through that, and I can't imagine after what we've heard from just the bail hearing that there's going to be any hope for the self-defense.
And you know what? The deceased may testify from the grave because there are witnesses who are willing to say that he said the following just before he died, right after he was shot. Quote, I can't believe he shot me. Again, hearsay, right. But the exception to the hearsay rule is dying declaration.
Exactly, dying declaration, and also excited utterances. There are a lot of hearsay exceptions. All of that will probably come in.
But that statement, what does it say? I can't believe he shot me.
Like I haven't done anything to justify what this man just did. And frankly, if he was armed, come on, Greg. If he was armed, he would have shot the cop to begin with. Yeah. And he didn't. He didn't shoot Reeves. Anybody that has a weapon, they would have used it, not thrown a handful of popcorn at someone.
I don't even know that he would have shot him because it was such an innocuous situation. That's the outrage.
Well,
that's
here's the deal.
Self-defense.
You're allowed to defend yourself if you're in imminent fear of serious bodily injury or death. Since when is popcorn a lethal weapon?
Correct. And, I mean, there are parodies made of sort of the theater with somebody talking to the person next to them, going back in media forever. And this is such an innocuous situation during the previews for Mr. Reeves to say he was frightened when he was the one initiating the confrontation over and over.
Mercedes, he's charged with second-degree murder. That's not premeditated killing, but it is depraved indifference. If you were defending him, would you try to get a lesser included, which is voluntary manslaughter? In other words, I acted in the heat of passion, sudden impulse.
Has to be, because with all these admissions that are going to come in, with all these witness testimonies, with this videotape that's incriminating as well, there has to be a lesser included charge. In fact, in the preliminary hearings, the defense attorney had tried the whole self-defense in order to get under Florida's law. Couldn't do it.
If
So
you
obviously
were
that preliminary
Kirsten,
didn't
would
fly.
you abandon this whole self-defense thing and try to go down to the voluntary manslaughter and say, look, lost his temper, heat of passion, it's voluntary, and knowing that the minimum on that is 9 years, he could do 6 and be out?
I think you have to. I think you have to look at all the evidence. You have to look at the public outrage and say, what am I dealing with? And all I have is that he snapped. And so the lesser included, I think, is the only way that the defense can go in this case.
And the public also knows that the texting incident, which is what precipitated all of this, the victim was just texting his 3-year-old, I'm at the theater, honey, and this is what this whole altercation was. I mean, it's absolutely outrageous.
His little daughter. I mean, you know, if he was texting somebody else, but this is a little 2 or 3-year-old daughter.
Exactly
texting,
right.
for goodness sake.
And his wife trying to defend him with her hand up and her getting shot. I mean,
Well, that's the other
tragic.
thing. It's an aggravated count here because she got hit.
She got hit as well.
So he's going to face assault charges for her as well.
Mercedes Colin, Kirsten Wilson, 2 fine lawyers. Thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Greg.
Art?
Good analysis, Guy. Okay, guys, the job market posting weak gains these last 2 months. But